I usually want to sling about 24-letter words right towards you, directly at you, and I hold back.
Yeah, you save that for when we get offline, and it's really uncalled for, but whatever.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
So we're in episode 41, and it's funny that, again, we talked about this last time around with my reputation for being the censorship guy in the group, which is actually okay with me. Like, it really is fine with me because of everyone in the group. I probably am a little more sensitive to making sure we don't let the group content get out of hand. And so I need to share this with you guys, this censorship fail of mine. And I've only done this like 2 or 3 times in the group where I've ever said, hey, listen, that image is pretty much straight up nudity. Can you take it off? It's only been once or twice I've done that. And so last night, I got on my phone, went into our group, was reading through some of the posts, and our buddy Sasan, and I got to say sorry right out of the gate to Sasan, I was totally off on this. He had posted a comment to you about Gears, about something he was disappointed with, or with the robots in the game or something.
He called me a liar.
Yeah, he called you a liar. And the image was this cartoon that, looking back on it now, I think I've seen it before, and I only saw 2 panels. I saw a panel of a guy's face making a very inappropriate whatever expression. You could tell something was happening. And the second panel showed him holding his business. And it was zoomed in, and it was like a cartoon version, but it was clearly like, wow, that's inappropriate. So my response
penis.
My response was, yeah, we can't have just pictures of body parts of penises sitting on in our group. So I typed out a quick message like, hey, man, listen, I hate to do this, but I don't want any kind of nudity in the group. Like that's where I draw the line, is it nudity. And as I was typing it and I sent it, I opened it up on desktop, and I saw the third panel of the comic. I didn't realize there was a third panel, and it's that guy picking mushrooms in the field. So, and so I followed up, and so Sasan, if you listen to this, I don't know if you still listen to our show, man, but if you listen to it, please know that I'm sorry. It was a complete censorship fail. I felt like an old man who was like, wait a minute. Oh, never mind.
Stop there!
Yeah. Get off my lawn. No, wait, that's not my lawn. You're good. So yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. But I own up to it. I'll admit I do kind of draw the line for our group in terms of, I don't want there to be nudity thrown around in there. Even if it doesn't offend you, if you're the kind of person who's like, who cares? It's just body parts. That's fine. You're welcome to that opinion. But that's one of the things that I want to keep free from happening in this group. But I was way off. That was not.
I know what I'll be posting right after this episode.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait. All right. You know what would be enjoy though is deleting any post that you make. So go ahead. Actually, that'd be great. Could you?
Censor.
I would love to like put the little arrow by a Derek post and just hit delete, and then just.
I hope Daniel Freitas, DFC, listens to this and he calls you out for your censor fail.
Yeah,
because he is the biggest. He's the biggest one on your censorship.
He's made the best memes. He's made the best memes of me. Anyway, all right. So moving on, I feel like I should own up to that. Say I'm sorry for that. I will send you guys a message now and then if there's something that looks like it's blatant nudity in the group. But otherwise, I kind of let things go. I want to let you guys have a conversation and joke around like you want to. But there are certain lines that I don't want to have crossed. But man, was I off. Man, was I wrong. Okay.
And just out of, just to be clear to everybody, Tim sends me these private messages all the time on Facebook warning me. He did not like our bikini bestie picture. He wasn't a fan of me.
That was funny.
Me calling us bikini besties, that offended him.
It was the phrase bikini besties. It was not so much the image. It was the phrase.
It wasn't the picture. It was just the fact that he had an image of him and I in bikinis standing next to each other.
I actually, I could imagine that. You're standing there with the bikini, with your arm around me, with a big thumbs up, really excited. I'm standing there all sad, like, I don't want to wear this. Yeah, that would be our picture. So, yeah, all right.
All right, let's get the show going.
Let's get moving here. Let's talk about games we're currently playing. Just so you guys know, this is going to be a very VR-centric episode as we get to the second half of our conversation. But we're going to start things out a little bit less on the VR side. I mean, Derek might have a few things to say as he talks about what he's playing, but we are going to talk about VR during the second half of the episode. So we'll get there. But for right now, let's talk about some non-VR things. What are some things that you're currently playing? What are some games that you're playing right now?
The main two, aside from VR stuff, is I'm continuing my playthrough of Mafia 3. Not everybody knows what happened with this, but basically, as many of you do know, we game share. So Tim bought it for the PS4, and I was really excited for Mafia 3. And so I, in a way, accidentally bought it on the Xbox One, but I wasn't bummed. I went on there and was trying to check my balance for my digital, funds with Microsoft, and I was chatting at the same time with a Microsoft rep who was doing the refund, and I accidentally pre-ordered Mafia 3. But anyways, I wasn't upset because I was really hyped
You just can't help
for the
yourself.
game.
You just can't
What's
stop.
that?
You just have to buy stuff. You can't help yourself. You're always buying stuff.
You gave me my money back? Mafia 3. But yeah, so it was really an accident, and I definitely regret that I bought it now. But so I bought it for the Xbox One, but I wasn't too bummed because that was right when I was just getting my Xbox One S, and I had my 4K setup, and I was like, Mafia 3 is going to look great on my new setup, and it didn't at all. It looked terrible on the Xbox One. Then I started reading about how it's running at like 720p, and I was like, really? That would explain why it looks so bad. And so I switched over. So I got about 3 or 4 hours into it because I still was having fun with the game. The lighting was really bad, and it was just an ugly game. And then I switched over to PS4, your version, your copy, and it looked better. It runs at, I think, 900p on the PS4. And for those that are sitting there rolling your eyes going, how can you even tell the difference between 180p's? Trust me, you can. There's a reason why each game keeps adding more and more P's, just because it looks better. But it looked a little bit better, and I've been enjoying it. I'm probably about, on the PS4 version, I'm probably about 10 hours in, maybe.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm still light. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I've got the 3, what are they?
Your associates, your main capos
my
3
or
whatever.
Associates or whatever they are. I've got 3 of them, and I've been doing some jobs for them to kind of build up rapport with them, and doing a little bit of story missions since I got the 3rd one. But I let me just say this. I enjoy the game, but objectively, it's so flawed I could not give it higher than a 7 because there's just so many issues. There's still lighting issues on the PS4 version. There's lighting issues on the Xbox One version. It's not that pretty of a game. It's not ugly, but it's not pretty. And there's just some dumb gameplay elements. Like, for instance, and I know we talked about it last week, one of the things I liked was I felt like when I did the first mission with the Haitians, going through and killing them, I liked the stealth. I was like, oh, I love the fact that I have the option to do stealth, and that seemed like a cool thing. But then as you keep playing it, you realize stealth, all it is, and I don't know if you've ran into this, so you can definitely give me your feedback on it. But all stealth is to me is on the PS4, I hit the little square button, hit it, and it lights everybody up red that's in my area. I lean to the closest wall, I whistle, they walk over, I knife them. I move to another wall. I whistle. They walk over. I knife them. And that's pretty much what I'm doing on almost all the missions, to the point where once I see that there's only like 3 or 4 enemies, I'm like, screw this stupid stealth. I know I can take them. I just start shooting them up just because I'm sick and tired of doing the stealth. So on that side, it's gotten repetitive, and it's not as exciting to play. But overall, I know I'm beating the game up. I like it enough to keep playing it. I guess that's a good thing. So before I go into my next game, what are you experiencing with Mafia 3? Because I know you're still playing it.
Yeah, almost. I want to let you share there because I talked a lot about Mafia 3 last week, but almost the exact same experience you're having. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell, you were cutting out a little bit. We were talking about story at all, but I love the story. I love the characters. I think the writing and the performances are really great. The facial animations during the cutscenes, I think, looks pretty good. Not perfect. There's times when it's like, yeah, this is a video game, but there are certain times when I think it looks really great.
No, the cutscenes are really well done.
Yeah, so
Really
I like
well
that. I love the music, and I love the overall sound. Like, the sound is very sharp, with everything from the car engines to the shooting to footsteps, everything. The sound is great. The lighting has given me a few issues here and there, usually when the sun is setting and I'm driving and I'm kind of make a certain turn and I'm like, whoa, I got blinded. But for the most part, I haven't had nearly the issues that you have for lighting. So it's been something that I noticed because others told me lighting was bad. So now I'm looking for it. So I've noticed it a few times, but it hasn't messed with my gameplay experience. My gameplay experience is messed with when I kind of hit the 4th or 5th round of killing more guys, destroying more of their stuff to get someone mad enough to then go attack them, and you take them out, and then you go kill a few more guys. They're targeted. They're like lieutenants you have to kill, destroy some of their stash, and then you get to attack the capo or whatever. So it's that same gameplay loop until you finally hit a story mission where you can now take out the main guy you're targeting in that area. So it's not a bad gameplay loop. I understand the design of it. I just feel like it's not built out enough to really make me feel like I'm doing something different. So now that I'm in like the 5th or 6th run through of taking over an area. See, I've already got my 3. I've already started divvying out districts to them, and I like that. I like that you take over an entire district, and regardless of who owns what racket, you now have to give complete control of that district over to somebody. And you're going to tick somebody off, and someone else is going to be super happy, and someone else is going to be, indifferent. And so I like that. And you get, perks from giving them districts. So those things are cool, but the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, it really is up and down. So there are times when it feels really great, and there's times when I really like the way the guns feel. I like the shotguns in particular. I like the effect of when you hit a guy with a shotgun, it looks and feels like, whoa, that was a real shotgun. That was amazing. Like that. I like that. There's times when I got the silenced pistol now, and I like using the silenced pistol because hiding behind walls, whistling, and knifing guys is the easiest way through that game. You can do that in almost every mission. I discovered that very early on, and I love stealth, but that has become very boring very quickly, where you can just go up there, creep behind a wall, whistle everybody with an earshot, and then just knife them as they come, and then move to a new section, whistle everybody, knife them. And so I have decided to just play it a little differently and go guns blazing a little more, just because it's more fun. So my experience with it is up and down.
It's a little more challenging, too.
It's more challenging that way. I get to use the guns. You're unlocking all these guns, all these abilities, additional ammo clips, all this kind of stuff. Might as well use it. Otherwise, you'll just use your combat knife for the entire game. The only time you can't use your combat knife is during certain boss-type fights. Like when you recruit a certain guy in a kind of in a big dump, like a big car dump area, and you have to sit on the roof and snipe guys as they come in. There's certain times they force you to use the weapons, but otherwise, as you go mission to mission, you can just knife everybody. So it's a good game. I actually think it's a really good game. It'll be one of those games that I will look back on and say, hey, I enjoyed playing that more than a lot of games this year. Will I be able to objectively or even subjectively call it my game of the year? No, and not even close. But it is a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying playing it.
Yeah, it's fun. I think the only thing that I would add, based off what you were saying, is the loop is cool. And it makes sense with the story. It's not like they're just throwing random stuff in and saying, "Oh, do this just to make this game longer."
Yeah, they give you good motivation, good explanation.
They give you
for why
reasons
you're doing it. That's true.
to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is the design. It's basically like you said. All right, you're gonna kill this guy. Okay, that makes sense in a Mafia game. You got to hit on somebody, right? Not on a girl, but hit on whatever.
Sure.
So you gotta hit, and then you're going into these areas, and they're all basically designed the same way, same dumb AI enemies.
Oh,
so
the AI is a big problem.
Yeah, and it feels the same even if you're in a different location, and I think that's my biggest disappointment is I don't feel like I'm ever doing anything new, even though every hit technically should be something new. So
yeah. Do you remember the MMO City of Heroes?
Yeah, I played
that
a little bit.
So when you would go to certain missions, you'd walk in the door and it would load you into an instance, basically. You remember that?
I'm not going to remember anything about that game.
Okay, well, so you would load into an instance, and after a while in City of Heroes, and a lot of games do this, but I use this as an example because it sticks out to me, you start to learn there's a pattern to the design of the levels, of the office buildings or the factories, whatever it is you're going to take out. when you go into those instances, you start to realize, oh, there's a pattern to how these things are generated. And I feel like it's the same thing with Mafia 3. When I go to certain sections to take out a boss, there's usually the same type of entrance around the edges. There's usually the same types of guys that are on patrol. It's all very similar. And only a few times have I felt like, oh, this is new. Like I went to there's a meat packing plant you got to take over. That was new. I liked that. That was kind of a unique approach. There's City Hall. You got to go through City Hall. There's a hotel. Those are all unique. But when you're doing these smaller little things to rile up the lieutenant or the captain, whoever it is, to get him to come out of hiding, it's the same things over and over and over again. So it's the repetitiveness. It's the lack of, in some ways, lack of polish that are getting to me. But I don't know if it's always polished as much as it is just that core gameplay design. The pattern makes sense. It's just not, when it comes down to it, it's not all that fun all the time. So I'm having fun with it in chunks, but then there's a time when I look at my watch and I'm like, I think I'm done with this for a little while. I think I'll play something else, just because it gets so repetitive. And so that's my thought. Those are my thoughts on Mafia 3. I like it a lot. It'll be something I mentioned when we talk about games of the year. Like, hey, that was one I had a lot of fun with.
I think it has potential to be in my top 10. It just won't be game of the year.
It's right now. It's definitely in my top 10. I can't think of 9 or 10 games that I like more than it. But it's just a little disappointing. It was, as we talked about plenty of times in episodes before this, it was one of my most hyped games, and I think it delivers in some ways and really falls short in a few others. So,
okay.
What else
are you playing?
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh,
I'm playing a little bit of Destiny, although I kind of sidelined that once Mafia 3 came out. But I have, like I said last time or 2 weeks ago, I've kept jumping in every once in a while to play some older missions that I've missed, some of the story, and I'm still enjoying that. I'm still having fun with that. So if you guys ever want to play, let me know in the group, and maybe we can set up a time to do some Destiny. And I also have been playing a little bit of Gears Ultimate Edition. You and I fired that up a little bit ago, and I've played it once or twice this week as well, late at night. And I really need to just, maybe this weekend, just kind of finish plowing through that game.
It's
I want to get
not
Gears too.
That long of a game. It's like 8 to 10 hours, and 10 hours is if you suck at it. 8 hours, maybe 9 hours at the most.
Yeah.
There's
so
only one really hard part, and that's it.
Those are the 3 that I'm playing. I've already talked a lot about Mafia 3 and Destiny and a little bit about Gears as well. So, so I'm enjoying the time that I have to play, but right now most of it's taken up by Mafia 3. Honestly, I think most of my time spent in Mafia 3 is traveling because there's no fast travel. And I understand why there's no fast travel in a way. I think there was a decision made like, hey, we want the traveling, the cars, the city itself to be a gameplay element where you have to actually traverse the city. But I don't think it makes it very player-friendly. It's a little more frustrating than anything else. Like, I pretty much
fast travel in GTA 5?
Yes. GTA 5, yeah.
I know you can switch characters, but could you fast travel?
Oh, maybe
you had
maybe
to
I'm
drive everywhere.
Maybe
if you were Michael and you were trying to do Michael's story mission, I think you had to travel there. I don't think you could just go to Michael's house and that's where his story was and you start from there. I think you had to drive there.
Yeah, I could be misremembering. I haven't played it since
I think,
and
3 years. The reason why I'm asking
this
is and I thought it was odd that I kept hearing reviewers complain about Mafia 3 not having quick travel, and I'm like, every sandbox game that I've played that's like Sleeping Dogs, GTA, even the older Mafia games, all those games, I can't remember, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they have they don't have any of that. It's all, you get in a car and you drive because it's part of the world. Like, that's what you do.
I know that my open world games recently have all been Ubisoft games, and Ubisoft almost without fail has fast travel in all their games. Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, you have to unlock a hideout in those areas by taking over those radio towers. But yeah. So anyway, I know that was something that was mentioned, and again, I don't see it as a fault in the game. I really don't, because I like the scenery. I think the way the city looks is cool, and driving out to the bayou is kind of neat. It just takes a lot of time. So I spent a ton of time in that game just driving.
One thing I was going to say, and you may have ran into this. Well, I know you have because you're definitely further in the game than I am. But there was one time where I drove like 3,000, whatever it is. I don't know what the metric is in the game, but 3,000 something. Saw a story cutscene, selected my next main mission, and it was another 3,000 back.
Yep.
I was like...
Yep.
So I then went to like the side stuff just to see if there was one closer, and there was one like 1,000 away, and I was like, that was one of the complaints I remember. I think it was Marty from IGN saying, I drove 3,000, I want to say miles, I don't know if that's what it is, 3,000 miles, watched the cutscene, and then had to drive another 3,000. I was like,
It's
okay,
definitely not miles. It might be yards
that.
or feet or something like that. But
Yeah,
it's a long
something.
way to drive. I mean, there's only like
miles.
5, maybe 6 radio station options, which are, again, the soundtrack is cool. I like that. It really makes you feel like you're in the late 60s. So I think it was very great decision making there, but it becomes very repetitive after a while. Like, there's only so many times I want to hear some of the songs on that soundtrack. So it's just starting to wear on me a little bit, but it doesn't mean, I don't mean to sound super negative about it. I still am having fun with it. Like tonight, after we're done recording, I'll go watch some TV with my wife, and then once she heads to bed, I'll play some more missions in Mafia 3. Like, it's still my main game that I'm playing, and I'm having fun with it. So
Okay, good.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm playing outside of Mafia 3 right now, besides VR, is I think this is it, is Gears 4. Last
it,
time
right?
last time we recorded, I was pretty deep into it. The very next day, I beat the game. It's my favorite Gears campaign. Doesn't mean it's not flawed a little bit, and what I mean by that is I think it plays perfect. I think the characters are great. I even like the story. For a Gears game, it's pretty good. My biggest issue is like Act 1 is very bland. Act 2, even though you're fighting robots still, this is why Sasan was calling me a liar. I forgot. He asked when we stopped fighting the robots, and I was like, oh, after Act 1. That's not true. You fight them in Act 2. It's just cooler in Act 2.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
It picks up. It gets cooler. But overall, it's, right now it's like a perfect 10 to me. And the reason why is I really like the campaign besides Act 1. And again, I don't hate Act 1. It's just kind of slow and boring. And then I've been playing Horde mode. In fact, that's what I was doing before I logged on to record. And actually insulted you a couple times to my friends, saying, I'd rather be playing Horde mode than spending quality time with Tim. No offense.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
But it's just really good. Like, I played Horde mode in Gears 2 a little bit. I wouldn't say I played it a lot. I had fun with my friends back then. And then I skipped in Gears 3, and then Gears Judgment took it out. And again, if I'm not remembering correctly, feel free to call me out. But, so I haven't played Horde mode a lot, but I knew what it was. So when everybody was like hyping Gears 4 Horde mode, if anybody paid attention, I never really talked about it. I was like, yeah, I'll play it. But I was thinking in the back of my mind, they're all talking about it. We'll play it once. We'll not really like it. And then I'll just replay the campaign and I'll be done with Gears. I was wrong.
Gotcha.
I'm really enjoying the Horde mode. It's
Good.
great co-op action. It's up to 5 players. You can do private matches. You can do public. Tonight we were doing private matches with just the 4 of us. And it's just fun. It's great teamwork. You have to work together. If you don't, you're going to get destroyed. And I'm looking forward to it. In fact, when we get done recording this, I will probably jump back on.
Nice. Nice. I know that Jesse White from our group has also just recently finished it, called it his favorite campaign of all the Gears games so far.
Yeah.
And I would
really
imagine
good.
he likes the multiplayer aspects too, but I didn't hear from him on that one.
He's one of them that I'm playing Horde mode with. Him,
Okay.
Rob, and I just got done playing with Colin as well. So
Nice.
it's good stuff.
Nice. All right. Well, I've heard nothing but good things about Gears 4, so that's awesome. I do need to play
Tim,
that
I
game,
have
but I gotta
a
get there
question
first.
to ask you.
Yeah.
Did you get Halo 5?
Oh, from CD Keys?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But see now I own the Master Chief Collection. I own Halo 5, and now it's like, okay, when am I gonna play these? Like, that's what I say when I look at
Never.
those. Like, okay, I want to play them. I want to play all of them. When am I gonna do that? Because I got to finish Mafia 3, which is taking forever, and then I got to do Gears, all the Gears games, because now I'm really pumped for Gears 4. And then Watch Dogs 2 is going to come out, and that's looking amazing. I made the mistake of watching one of the preview videos recently, and now I'm like super hyped for Watch Dogs 2. So I don't know, man. I'd like to get through all the Halo games. We'll see if we get to there. But
I think the thing to remember, and you're talking about, and I totally understand, like Mafia 3 is a long game. I think it takes like 40 hours to beat.
Yep.
And then Watch Dogs is probably going to be another 20 to 30 hour game. I think the cool thing about the Halo and Gears games, campaign-wise, obviously I'm not talking about multiplayer stuff, is they're generally from 8 to 10 hours. And they're real simple. They got challenge to them, but they're not overwhelming that you get so frustrated that you don't want to play them. So I think it would be, when you finish Mafia 3, maybe, well, I know you're playing Gears now. Finish Gears this weekend, keep playing Mafia 3, and then when you finish Mafia 3, start a Halo game or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And go to Watch Dogs and stuff like that.
Shift over to Xbox to close out the year a little bit here with some of these games.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a few pieces of news that have popped up before we get into VR talk. So a couple things. Number one, now this rumor's already been debunked, but I wanted to get your thoughts on your initial reaction to it when you first saw it. There was a rumor that went around, and it started to pick up some heat, that Nintendo's new system would be called the Nintendo Duo. And there was what looked like an official picture of some sort of software strategy meeting or something like that, and it said Nintendo Duo, and it had a logo that looked like a cartridge on it. So that's since been debunked, but before we talk about that, what did you think about that? Did you think that type of name was believable? Did you think, hey, this could be it?
Well, I saw your post, and like my initial reaction, this was before I read any comments, was that's a terrible name. And then I started reading through some of the comments, and I forgot who did it, but somebody wrote Duo, and kind of explained it. It's a handheld and it's a, home console Duo. I like it. And I was like, yeah, I hate the name, but the meaning behind it makes sense. So I like it. And then I went a little further down and saw it got debunked. And I was like, okay, I'm happy.
Yeah,
Brian
Pelfrey posted an article that basically just shared, like, hey, here's the guy who created this. He actually posted a picture of himself making it in Photoshop. He did it as, a joke, and just what he did was he basically took letters from the Nintendo logo and flipped them around to make it say Duo, and then put it on a cartridge picture. So it was well done. Turns out that's not the name. I still, like a lot of people, I think NX is the way they should go. They just announced that Red Dead Revolver, it's the precursor to Red Dead Redemption, and it's now available on the PS4 in full 1080p and trophy support. They said it's up-resed graphics. Doesn't mean it's necessarily a remake. It's not. It's simply, buffed up a little bit. So if you liked Red Dead Redemption, like I did, and never played Red Dead Revolver, like I didn't, and if I did, it was a long time ago. I might have rented it. I feel like I have a vague memory of going into slow-mo and being able to aim at a bunch of bad guys at the same time and then unleash your shots. I just don't know if that's the same game. So Red Dead Revolver.
I played it. I didn't beat it, but I played a good amount of it, and I liked it. I played on the Xbox 360, I believe.
So that is now available on PS4.
Or Xbox.
The final episode of Hitman is arriving this month, and I'm kind of surprised it's dropping so soon. The final episode of Hitman is coming out on October 31st. It's set in Japan, and we've already known it was going to be set in Japan. They already listed that in the game when it kind of has all the different locations. It just has it blanked out until you can download it. So Japan is the next mission. It comes out in a couple weeks on October 31st. Also, ending this coming Friday, October 21st, is this new elusive target that is now available in Hitman. It's in the Marrakesh level. So if you want to go track down this elusive target, go check them out. I won't read about it right now. There is a couple pieces of news about it if you want to hear the details. But just if you open Hitman, open it up, and check out the elusive target. You only get one shot at getting him. So if you go in there and you miss him, he's gone. It's not like you get to reload your save and try again. You get one shot at it. So
you get one shot to assassinate a guy?
Yep. And I think in this case you have to steal the diamonds that he's carrying too. Yeah, there's going to be unlocks for it. I don't know the details of what's unlocked, but I do know it's just also one of those things that it's meant to challenge regular Hitman players to, can you get this elusive target? I think they've had 8 or 7 maybe before this, including at one point it was, what's his name? The crazy looking guy, Gary, that celebrity. Sinise? I'm forgetting his name. No, not Gary Sinise. Hang on, I'll find it in a second. But anyway, they did a promotion where they were trying to figure out who the elusive target was going to be for Hitman, and it was Gary Cole from Office Space, or what was his name?
The crazy
Thank you, Gary Busey. There it is.
Yeah, Busey.
Gary Busey. Yeah. So, which I think was great. It was a great marketing ploy where they had those two guys basically try to convince you to vote for them to be the elusive target. So, anyway, kind of fun stuff for Hitman players. Go check that out if you own Hitman. And lastly, this is something that you posted in the group, Derek, and I wanted to share it and just see what you thought about it. It was just announced that the Xbox One outsold the PS4 in console sales for the third month in a row. And why is that significant? It's mainly because it's been about a year that the PS4 has been dominating. It hasn't even been close, and the PS4 has been destroying Xbox in terms of sales. But in recent months, probably due to a number of different factors, the Xbox is gaining ground again, and it's outpacing the PS4 month over month. So, what were your thoughts on that when you saw that report?
I mean, as a fan of both consoles, I was happy to see Microsoft get a little run. I think it's due to a couple of things. I think the 1S is such a good deal by itself. Like the lower end model is a 500 gigabyte HDR 4K, not native 4K, but 4K upscaling system that plays 4K Blu-ray. And it's $300, which is really, really good. And then they've been not only selling it at that price, but then they've been bundling it with, just 2 weeks ago they had it where you could buy the Halo bundle. So it comes with the 5 Halo games with the Xbox One S, and then you could choose a game as well.
That's awesome.
So you could get another $60 game. So you were getting 6 games and this system for $300. So they've been really.
Do you feel like this generation
pushy.
Microsoft has done a better job with the bundle deals than Sony? Because I feel like I always every season that rolls around since these two systems launched. Is it 3 years ago now? I feel like Microsoft has done a better job at saying, "Here's a value option with this." So with whatever that would be, like including a game or a set of games or choose a few games. Obviously, they didn't do a great job right out of the gate, but. Once they started to need to play catch up with Sony, I thought that the bundles they've been offering have been crazy. I mean, I even got a great deal on mine last year.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why. I think if they were double the sales and Sony was behind, Microsoft wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't have $300 bundles. The system would still be probably $350, $400. PlayStation's played the role of a leader. They've given us kind of bundles, but they've kept their price steady and not dropping it too far. Now I know they have their $300 system now, but they haven't been bundling it with like 9 games.
Which just makes me think how delusional Nintendo must be to still not drop the price on theirs. They're like, yeah, no, we're winning too. We're gonna leave it. Like, no,
300.
You're not winning.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's impressive. It's been aggressive. They've been very aggressive, and I think, and this is just speculation. This is just me thinking it through. I think it's the aggressive bundles, but I think it's PlayStation owners they're now looking at Microsoft's catalog because think about it. I'm just talking about the 1S. Let's say you don't want a 1S. You don't have a 4K TV. You don't have a desire to have one. If you look at their normal 500 gigabyte bundles. They're $250, and they come with, again, usually like 4 or 5 games. So I think you've got a lot of people that just own a PlayStation for the last 3 years that are looking and going, man, it's just $250, and it comes with all these games, plus they've got Gears coming out, they've got this, they got that. It's very appealing right now to own both. Especially since and I say this because a lot of people jumped on PS4 first. So it's more appealing right now to go, hey, why not go to Microsoft and get...
I was going to ask you if you think that has anything
bundle.
to do with the fact that PS4 sales aren't as high as Xbox right now. And that is just simply because most of those people who are likely to buy a system now have already bought the PS4. I mean, there's so many of them out in the wild right now. So maybe that's kind of a short-sighted way to look at it.
I think it's both. I think it's Microsoft being aggressive, Sony pretty much, I'm not saying they've sold to all the people and they're never going to sell again. Of course, it's going to consistently sell. I think they'll get to 100 million. But I think they've basically gotten who they're going to get in this first 3 years, and now Microsoft kind of capitalizing on that because they're offering good bundles for everybody. And I think you'll see Sony sales pick up a little bit with the Pro. You got people like me who are going Pro. Yeah. Pro.
Speaking of 4K, so my wife and I had a chance to get out and have an early date night tonight. So we went to Red Lobster, which is amazing. I got the steak and lobster and the coconut deep fried shrimp. I mean, just a beautiful dinner. And cheddar biscuits, of course, throughout. It was amazing. And after we finished there, we still had some extra time to kill before our babysitters had to take off. So we went over to Sam's Club because I wanted to price some TVs, and she wanted to look at some clothes. They have jackets there that she wanted to check out. So I walked around Sam's Club for a while, and the prices for the TVs, we talked about this a little bit ago, and I didn't realize how affordable some of these 4K TVs are. Like, I walked in there thinking that there was going to be a couple of the major displays of here's your Ultra HD 4K TV, and it's going to have some price tag on it that they're afraid to show you. And then it'd have a bunch of 1080p TVs. The reality is most of the TVs on display, most of the ones you see in the first couple rows when you walk in, they were almost all 4K TVs. Mm-hmm. And they were all in the price range that I expected 1080p TVs to be. They were all anywhere from like $450. Some of them were that low, depending on the size and the brand, all the way up, of course, to something in the $2,000, $2,500 range. But there were a lot of them between $500 and $800 that I thought were super high quality, anywhere from 43-inch all the way up to 55-inch. Great brands like Sharp and Samsung and Vizio, 4K TVs, and they looked amazing. And there were a few stats underneath there that I didn't necessarily understand. I'm not as big of a tech head as I'd like to be. So I didn't understand all the details underneath, like what makes some more valuable than others, other than the brand name and the size. But some of them just looked amazing. So there was a small part of me that was like, maybe I spoke too soon a few months ago, and I said, nah, 1080p is fine. I walked over to one, and I watched the Star Trek Beyond trailer that they were showing on a loop. And I just watched that trailer on the 4K TV. I was pretty blown away. It looks amazing. Walked over to a 1080p TV that happened to be on the same loop and watched it. And it's not like the standard def to high def jump, but it's significant. Like, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a lot of motion on the screen. And that's when all of a sudden, in my slow-moving brain, apparently, it clicked. For video games, I can see where this would make a huge difference because the motion is such a big part of that experience. Now all of a sudden it just clicked like, oh, I can see how the video game experience could be improved by 4K because it handled the motion, the movement, and it maintained that crispness and clarity that 1080p can't always maintain. So all that to say, I'm very interested now, and I am actually very pleasantly surprised that it's that affordable, and I have a lot of options, even at a place like Sam's Club. So there's a lot of options out there.
Sam's
so if you guys are like,
a great place to look for TVs, being serious, because they're always going to be cheaper.
Yep. So if any of you listening are like me and you've kind of been on the fence about the next step into the next realm of HD and you're kind of rolling your eyes, it's, sure, yeah, I need to upgrade. Go check it out. Have a look for yourself. I'm actually, like, if there's a good deal this Black Friday season, I've been talking about needing a new TV anyway. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if sometime in the next month or two you hear me say, yep, I bought one. So I'm pretty excited to
just make sure you do your research, and I know you're going to do your research, but the main thing that you want to make sure you have is that you really want like a super ultra 4K that has HDR10 and Dolby, or at least HDR10. And that's where it gets confusing, because when you go online and you start typing in, let's say, I'm just making it up, Samsung 50-inch LG blah 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 HDR10, you'll go and you'll read and they'll just say ultra high def, and you're like, okay, so is it HDR? They never come out and tell you. So you actually have to do further research, watch reviews, and they'll say, yes, this is HDR10. The TV I bought, I made sure it had both. I was like, if I'm going to spend a decent amount of money on this, I'm going to make sure I have both. So I got both.
No, that's
And
good
I'm happy.
advice. I wouldn't have thought to do that. Yeah, I knew there were differences in the descriptions underneath each price tag and each description of each model. I just don't necessarily understand what all the differences are yet. So I do need to do some research.
As
be
you
doing
do
some
research,
reading, so.
you can obviously just ask, and I'll help you.
Cool. Yes, that's exciting. And who knows, all this criticism I've had about the PS4. And you know what? I have not criticized the Xbox One S. I see the value in that one. You never know. Might end up seeing an upgrade.
I'll tell you real quick.
But
I don't want to deviate too much because I know we got to talk about
yeah, we got to get to
VR.
VR here.
We'll probably talk about it for a while, but I will say this. At first, in when we did that Pro Special and I didn't have a 4K TV and I didn't think I was going to have one anytime soon, I was a hater. Like, I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
Now that I'm learning more and more, and I'm starting to figure, like today I posted, and I was like, is the Skyrim version on the Xbox One gonna be native 4K like the PS4 Pro? And that's when somebody, I forgot who it was, Nate Bacon responded and said, Xbox One S cannot run native 4K, but the Pro can. And the reason why is the Pro is double the power of a PS4, whereas the Xbox One S is just a little bump, like a 8 to 11% bump in power to the Xbox One. So it's probably more closer to the PS4. So the Pro not only has the 4K ability, but it's also native because it's more powerful, it runs better. So I'm getting more and more excited about the Pro, and it's also kind of, it's sinking into my head. I'm like, all right, I just need to make sure I buy all third-party games on my PS4.
Man, imagine how bad the lighting in Mafia 3 will look on your Pro. That's going to look real bad.
4K bad.
All right, so you should get the PS4 Pro. That way you can tell us all whether or not it's worth the money. But it's too bad you didn't save the money from the VR to get that, right? I mean, are you feeling a little sad about that?
Well, let's talk about VR. So I picked it up. I took a half day on Thursday.
Well, hey, let's do this. I'm gonna ask you almost interview style. I have zero VR experience. I tried to go to Best Buy a couple times, and the representative kept not showing up, which was really annoying. But so I haven't even tried it yet. Obviously, I don't own it. It's something I didn't want to invest in this early on, and I still have major questions about it based on the reactions and the reviews that have been coming in. So I'm gonna ask you kind of interview style and let you kind of share what your overall experience is with it so far. But you were starting to share like when you got it and that kind of stuff. So go ahead and start there, and then I'll ask you about your overall feelings on the tech so far.
Okay, so Thursday I took a half day, and I picked it up from GameStop, and my brother and I we basically split the cost of the VR.
You went halvesies.
Yeah, we're going halvesies. And we're going halvesies on all physical copies of the game so we can share them. So he basically ordered from Amazon Drive Club VR, Tomb Raider, and Batman VR. And then the system comes with VR World, I think, PlayStation VR World or something like that. It has like 5 games on it. So I've got tons of games. And then it also comes with a demo. I've actually been doing the demo because the demo has like 16 games on it. And so the first day I got it, first of all, the hooking it up was just tedious and annoying. There's like 20 wires, and I literally had to do it by 4 goes here.
Oh
5
man! Wait,
goes
where are you
here.
plugging these wires into?
You gotta. It's confusing. You've got like 2 HDMI's. You've got all these UBS or USB cords, everything. It's a ton of stuff. And I even told my brother today,
does your TV need multiple HDMI's, or just the way that it hooks to your TV and the PS4 at the same time?
You've got the headset, and then the headset has multiple wires coming out of it, and then you've also got your earphones coming out of the main wire. So think of all the knots that you get, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so those two go into a box or whatever, the VR box. And then the VR box has to go to your TV and your PS4 because they're both running through the box. And then the box has to plug into the wall. And then you have your Move controllers. You have your DS4. This is just like 50 things. And then the best part is when you have like the VR headset on, the entire time you're like where's my controller? Where is all my? You can't even see. So it's fun.
Wait. Do you have it in the room with you right now? Can you put it on for us?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
All right. Let's do this. This is Derek Tigue modeling for us the PlayStation Virtual Reality. Here he goes.
Yeah.
The glasses are off.
Yeah. Well, I wear it with my glasses.
Settle down, ladies. Okay, settle down, ladies. Here he goes.
There you go. This is it. I have to talk so the camera goes on me. That's the VR. Yeah. How cool do I look?
Look around. Let's see how it looks like at multiple angles. Oh, you have to make a noise again so the camera goes back to you.
Hey, how you doing? Hi. VR. Right here. RoboCop. Yeah.
All right, there it is. Wow. The future is here, everybody. The future is here.
It is. So let me talk about my experience. So the first night, or the first day, I should say, I didn't have any kids. I was able to just, hook it all up and then kind of just dive in. And the first one I was most interested in checking out of curiosity was Drive Club. And, I've owned Drive Club since launch, and it's a good racer, but it's kind of difficult. It's like, especially later on in the game. So before I got VR, I actually started practicing, because I do third-person view when I play in racers. So I started practicing in first person, and I was doing terrible. So I actually got really nervous. I'm like, I'm not even going to play this game, because I'm going to get in there, and this is just going to be god-awful. So first thing, you get in, you're in your little, your car, and I started racing. I was like, wow, this is really easy. I felt no motion sickness. It was easy to control the car. They kind of dumbed it down, and I think they understood, because if they just made it how it was before, you wouldn't be able to drive. Like,
so is it less of a simulation? It's a little more arcadey?
It's way more arcadey. Not that Drive Club was really arcade or really simulation. It really wasn't. It was more arcadey, but it's different. It's like the difficulty has been notched down. Like, the cars are even easier to control.
Well, that makes sense. It's a totally new way to play, so that makes sense.
Yeah. But I was also a little, here's my graphics whore coming out of me. I was a little disappointed. I was like, because I know what Drive Club looks like, and now I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this looks like PS3 game. This is ugly.
I'm not a big fan of racing games necessarily, but Drive Club is a good looking game. The regular version, yeah.
So it was a little disappointing, but then I was like, okay, that's not what VR is about. VR is about the immersion, the experience. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool experience. But, since I have all these games, I'm like, I just want to jump in and test everything. So I also checked out a couple other things. I checked out Rigs, which is another one I was really excited about. That's made by the studio that makes Killzone and
what kind of game is Rigs? I mean, if I remember right, you're like in these robotic machines, and it's like a sports arena.
First-person shooter in a sports arena. It's pretty cool. Like the one match that I got to play on the demo was you are on a team or a squad. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to get my lighting fixed again. Okay, go. Alright, so you're on a squad and you're in these rigs, and basically on this game mode, your whole goal is to get overdrive, and if you get overdrive, and you get that by killing your opponent, then you can score. So you have to jump all the way to the top and drop into like a basket. But you can only drop an account if you're in overdrive, and you can only get to overdrive by killing people.
Okay. Okay.
So it was pretty cool. I liked it. I did get a little sick. It's the only game, and I've tried a lot of games, that got me like, oh, okay, my left arm's hurting and things feel weird.
Wow.
But it wasn't too bad. But again, I didn't play the game long. I only got to play one half. They cut the demo off. Guess they felt that confident about it, or they just didn't want you to get real sick. So I liked it. It's cool experience. But again, it felt like even though I know the full game has more to it, it has a season and all that stuff, I was like, I just don't know if I want to buy. I don't know if I want to pay it.
What if you had a whole bunch of
I'd
friends
buy
who
it.
had VR and they all played rigs? Could you see yourself playing it as a
Yes.
fun multiplayer game where you're all
Yes.
talking and okay?
I think it's quality. Here's the thing, it controls really well. You use your DualShock, you use both sticks, so it feels normal. You can use your left and right stick to move around.
And you just use your
The
head to
thing
look, basically, right?
Yes, but the thing that the VR does is it's not only looking, because you can look with your right stick, it's the only way you can shoot. So your guns are controlled by your head, whereas the direction of the camera is controlled by your right stick.
Weird.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, because a lot of times I'll be like trying to play it as a first-person shooter, and I'm shooting over here because, my head's over here. And I'm like, oh, I got to move over there. So it got a little bit of getting used to, but overall, I thought it was really well done. It's definitely a game I'm going to get. It's just not one I want to get right now because I've got plenty of other VR stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And then I tried out Batman. I only played Batman for a little bit.
I've heard it's a really
It's pretty
short
good.
but good experience.
I can't judge right now because I literally just
Okay.
stepped into it, looked around for a little bit, explored one room, and was like, okay. I'm
How did
done
that
with
look
VR.
visually? You've called yourself a graphics whore several times already this episode, and I can appreciate that, actually. I like when things look good, too. How does it look?
Rigs look the best.
Okay.
They look pretty good. They're not terrible.
Nice.
All
Now,
right,
has
so,
anyone else in your family tried VR?
Yeah, so tonight, last night, sorry, I'm getting my nights confused. I got it Thursday. So
Derek's
Friday,
been
I
awake for
think-
72 hours, everybody. He's very tired.
Yeah, I'm forgetting today's Friday. All right, so Thursday night, I told Emily, that's my 12-year-old, I'm like, I got VR. She's like, you got VR? I'm like, yeah, I got VR. I was like, you want to try out something scary? She's like, okay. This is the other one I tried out, by the way, that I haven't talked about yet. So one of the first demos I tried was Kitchen, which is Resident Evil 7 demo. And so I won't talk about my experience, but I'll talk about my daughter. So I told her, you want to try something scary. Now, here's the thing with my daughter. She's a lot like me. She doesn't like scary movies. She doesn't like things like this. They creep me out, and I do get freaked out. So I was actually nervous doing it. So, but she tries to be tough. Like, I'm not scared. So she puts on the headset. I said, just be aware. It's real short, but it's creepy. So I'm fine. All right. So she starts it up, and I guess minor spoilers because I am going to talk about the demo. But basically, you're in this room with a guy laying on the ground, and you have to knock the camera over. You're tied up. You have to knock the camera over. The camera then wakes him up. He then gets up, sees you, and he's like, oh, we got to get out of here. So he starts like knifing your chains or whatever's holding you, your bindings. And he starts, cutting them. Well, as he's cutting them, again, you're in VR, so everywhere you look, you can see everything around you. You see kind of in the corner of your eye something moving. I was like, at first I went, because it's real black. I was like, I know something's moving because this is scary, so something's got to be coming. Sure enough, 20 seconds later, this creepy, woman comes out right behind him. You're like, you want to yell because you want to warn him, but it's not going to do anything. And he gets gutted right in front of you. So I watch, so I can see what's happening on my daughter's screen, but I can kind of see her.
Oh yeah,
reactions.
just pause for a second for people who don't know about VR. Someone who's in the room with you, if the TV's on, can see what you're seeing. It's just obviously on a flat screen, right? Okay, so you're watching
so
what
if
she's
her head
experiencing.
moves, I can see what
Okay, that's kind of cool. So you can share the experience a little bit. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's cool. So I look at her. Now, again, I can't see her eyes or anything because they're covered by what you just saw me put on. But I can see her mouth, and her mouth's like this. And so she's nervous.
Yeah.
Because the lady that just attacked the guy then drags the guy into the dark, throws a part out at her, and so she's just sitting there. And all she can hear is noises. And so I just see her like this. And it's a long pause. It's not like 10 seconds. It's like you sit there for like a minute or so, just waiting. and you can hear noises.
It's building tension. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so she
good.
just keeps looking around because she can hear noises. And then all of a sudden, from behind her, these bloody claw hands come on top of the mask. So it's like right in her face, and she goes, "Nope!" And she just ripped it off and said, "Nope!" And I said, "No, Emily, you're at the end. You're at the end." And she's like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." And so I was like, "Ha ha!" I'm like laughing. I'm like, "That scared you. That scared you." She's like, "I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared." I was like, "You just ripped off my headset."
But you didn't let her play anything else, like a driving game or like Riggs, this fun robotic whatever. You wanted her to be terrified of it.
I wanted to watch her reaction. There's joy in that.
Oh boy.
But okay, so
anybody else
tonight-
give it a shot?
Yeah, so tonight, Ian and Eli. Now, this is the one I want to talk about. Now, I tried other stuff, but I don't want to bore you all to death. I'm going to give you a quick review in a second and let you ask some questions.
5 words or less. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, 5 words or less, Dirt. So I let Ian and Eli try this game that I had just checked out on PlayStation. I think it's VR Worlds. That's the game that came with my bundle. So it's basically a disc that has 5 full games on it, but they're like mini games. This one is cool. Like, what's it called? Danger Ball. So I was like, okay, Danger Ball. It's got the word ball in it, so maybe it'll have a ball in it. So let's check it out.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Detective work right there.
Yeah.
So
Easy,
I'm like,
Batman.
All right, yeah. So let's check this out. So I first log in and I try it. And all it is, it's real simple. Real simple. It's basically like, I guess like ping pong. But your head is your... Alright, so you're in this like arena. And all you are is this box. Like this, almost like the shield. And your head moves the box. Okay? So like I said, like ping pong, the ball bounces off the box. And then you hit it towards the opponent.
Okay, yeah.
And that's all it is. So it sounds real simple.
So it's like 3D Pong, basically.
Yes, but it's so much fun. Like as I was
Pong's
playing
fun.
it, I was like, this is legit. This is my Rocket League. This is what I'm gonna play. I'm just gonna sit here and do this. Because the cool thing about it, and this is what I liked about it, is if you time it right, so the ball's coming right at you. If you do something like this, like you're playing soccer, and you do something, it detects it, and it'll put a spin on the ball. So I was shooting balls like, sounds awkward, but he was hitting it straight towards me, and I was shooting it back at him with a curve. So it was like a curve ball, and it would go straight at him and then curve and dive, and I would score a goal.
So you're giving yourself whiplash trying to give this ball some spin.
Yes, but it was so cool.
Working
But
that
the
core.
danger of it, and this is what I told my boys because they played after me, I said, listen, you can curve the ball, and it's a great opportunity to score. But if he blocks it, it's coming right back at you with a curve, and it's coming back at you real fast. So there's a danger to it. So we ended up playing a couple tournaments. I played the tournament twice. Ian played the tournament twice, and Eli played it once, and Eli hulked out. After he lost, he literally took the headset off and was like, I should have won. So he he's a little competitive. He was not happy. But it was such a fun experience. That was the first. All the other stuff I played has been cool to, I don't care about it. This was
Do you have the
first
box
one I was
handy,
like,
by the way? The VR box, is it nearby?
Yeah, hold on a second.
I have something I want to ask Derek about based on what he just shared with us that I'm pretty sure is written on the box.
Can't see.
Take your time. It's fine. Take your time. Just take your time. We got all the time in the world.
Yeah, I can't see. Rude.
All right. So on the box, does it say anything anywhere about for ages something and up?
Yeah, I think it's 12 and up.
So how does it feel? I mean, just give me your thoughts to know that you're a horrible dad.
Tim, let's be honest. Have I ever even tried to pretend like I was a good father? I don't know if it's 12 enough. Maybe it was just for certain games, but I did tell the boys. I said they were all excited about trying it. I said you got to be careful with this.
I'm just giving you a hard time. The 3DS, they had a big thing about warning for kids with a 3D slider. I let all my kids try it because they wanted to see it, thought it looked cool, but they ended up turning it back off. But anyway, I'm just giving you a hard time because I do know that's a question that some of our listeners might have, and that is, can my kid play this? And I think if they approach it the same way you did, and that is, hey, 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever, try it for a few minutes. Maybe try to scare your 12-year-old daughter like Derek did. That's fine too. But just let them try it for a few minutes because it is new tech. It's very cool, but it might not be something you want to just give them, full control of and walk out for a few hours. It might be something you just let them try out. But
no, anyway. Here's the thing. This peripheral is something that I'm not going to leave them alone. They're not going to be left alone. And I already told them because they get home from school before I can get home from work. And I'm like, you guys cannot touch this. Not because I'm worried about their safety. I'm worried about the VR safety. Especially I wasn't exaggerating Eli's reaction to losing. I mean, you got to understand, the kid just started playing it. I'm like, would you expect to just go undefeated?
That sounds a lot like my son Thad. He's very much in that same vein. He instantly becomes so invested in the thing, whatever the thing is. Maybe it's a dumb trampoline game we all just made up on the spot that afternoon, but he becomes so competitively invested in that game, he can Hulk out himself. Totally.
Yeah. So he was literally hulking out.
All right, well, we got to wrap up soon, but let me read you some questions from our listeners. We had some good questions come in when you asked everyone to kind of throw their questions to you. So here's one from Drew Mercer. He says, how long in general are the games for VR? What have you noticed so far?
Well, I think story-driven ones, which there's not many, like a Batman, is literally an hour long. But it's priced pretty appropriately. I mean, Jamie and I, that's my brother, we paid $16, so we split it. That's $8 a piece, so I don't feel bad buying Batman for $8. But most experiences are kind of like what I was talking about, like Danger Ball. Another one I tried tonight was Battlezone. It's very arcadey. Battlezone actually made me feel like I was playing a Tank Twisted Metal game. So that intrigued me right away because I was like, but it was kind of, the graphics are kind of like Tron-ish. So, but the point is it's a lot of like arcade type games. So you could get hours upon hours out of it if you really like it.
So you might say, bear with me, but you might say that most of the games for VR at this point are DFC.
I would agree.
Okay. Just making sure that you know.
Hardcore, no.
I want you to be aware of what you're doing. Okay. Here's another question from Jose Jimenez. He says, did you get sick? And you kind of answered that already with Riggs. Did anything else make you feel, did you feel queasy at all? Were you kind of disoriented after you played for a little while?
There are sometimes tonight, like the other game that I was playing that's kind of like just a silly game that you play. I just did the demo was, what's it called? Masterhead? Creepy name. Headmaster? Yeah. Headmaster. Okay, so all it is they flick soccer balls at you and then you head them in the goal, and there's obviously obstacles and stuff like that. Anyways, at one point the entire screen went black, and for some reason, the way I don't get dizzy is I just focus on one thing. Like I'll just stop and focus, and I'm like, okay, I'm good, and then I go back to playing.
Well, yeah, you got to have a point of reference, and that's how you know whether or not. Like if you're in a car and you're at a stoplight, and you always can just glance at a sign or a building or a tree. That's your point of reference. Because you ever had that feeling that you're moving forward and you kind of look to see if things beside you are moving past you? You ever had that feeling that you're moving but you're still got the brake on? So that's the same. You got to find that point of reference. I was going to ask you if you found yourself looking for a point of reference in VR a lot, because I know you have to do that in the real world. Okay, all right.
Well, a good example of that is Destiny. When you do the there's a strike where you fight this demon or whatever in a dark dungeon, and there's only one light in there, and that light has to be my point of reference, because if I lose the light, which I have lost it before, I get dizzy in the black. And that was what I was going to say happened on that Headmaster game. It was pitch black for a while, and I was just looking around, and I got dizzy because I was like, I can't find anything. But overall, to answer Jose's question, not really.
Okay.
It's
Here's
obviously
one
subjective, but I'm fine.
Here's one from Master James C. Tigue Jr. He says, I think you should answer questions that people really want to know, like, why is your brother so awesome? Why do you hate DFC? And is your brother going to be happy that he split the cost of VR with you?
I think Jamie will be fine with the DFC games because he clearly is a DFC gamer. But overall, I think, and him and I talked about this earlier, I will say this, and this is what I told him. I'm glad we split the cost, because if I paid $500 for this, which I was really going to cancel it before he messaged me, I would have been disappointed. I'm not saying the tech's bad. I'm just saying for me personally, I would have been disappointed that I was stupid enough to pay $500.
Huh, that's fair. That's fair. This one's from Brian Pelfrey. He says, I want to hear your impressions of the kitchen demo, and you kind of already answered this. That comes in the demo disc. I don't want to hear exactly what happens. Sorry, Brian, if you listened.
I didn't read that.
I just want to know if you find it as scary as others have. So just answer that last part of the question, and assuming Brian has already he's long gone. But did you find it as scary as others have, or was it more of just you used it to torture your poor daughter?
I used it more to torture my poor daughter. Like I said, I don't like scary stuff, so that was one of the first things I checked out. It was daylight, it wasn't at dark time, and I was like, if I'm going to do Resident Evil, I'm going to do it now. And so I put it on, and when I was sitting there, the thing that I kept doing is, because you really do feel like you're in the game. Like, if you look down, it's your hands and your legs.
Well, you can't look away from it. Yeah, you can't kind of escape from the experience. Yeah.
So I'm in it, and I just kept saying, it's just a game. You know she's going to come out and get you. It's just a game.
That means it was scary. All right.
Yeah. So, sorry, Brian, if I ruined it for you, but I will say this. It literally is the shortest demo I've ever seen. So it's not much of a spoil. It's cool, but it's not like you get up and you're walking around for 10 or 15 minutes. It's really short.
All right, here's a good question from Colin Perkins. He says, could you see yourself playing a 40-plus hour game in VR, or do you think it's more for shorter experiences? And if you are going to play a longer game, what genre would fit best? Okay,
so for me, the initial answer and response from me and anybody else who starts playing VR would say, no, this is no way this is built for 40-hour plus games. But I think as we adjust and get used to it, yeah, you could probably play a longer experience game in it. What type of game? I'm always going to say first-person shooters would work perfect for this. You can still design it with your DualShock. You can still use the sticks. Just find something intelligent to do with the head. And that's what will make the experience a little bit different than just playing like a Doom the way Doom is now. But I think first-person shooters could be good. I think you could do a first-person RPG, even turn-based with it. But whatever you're going to do, probably the best experience is the obvious one, and that's first-person.
What about like Fable Journey? Could you see yourself doing something like that where you use your hands to cast it? Remember they tried that with the Move controllers and casting spells, and it ended up, I think,
honestly,
that was Kinect. But still, it kind of crashed and burned, I think.
My thing is they have to move away from the Move. I'm okay with a few games being like that, but if they want people to take this serious, they need to start designing hardcore games with a DualShock 4 in hand, putting the player in a seat, not telling them that they recommend you stand up, sit them down, put the headset on, give them their DualShock, and give them a full experience. That is what I think Resident Evil 7 will be, because you do play with a DualShock. You can sit down while you're playing it. The one thing I will say that I think it's very important that people understand that do not have VR right now, and I can use Resident Evil 7 as an example. I'm going to tell you right now, Resident Evil 7 is not going to be an ugly game. But in that VR demo, it ain't pretty. It looks like PS3 graphics. It's not pretty at all. There hasn't been a single game that I've played that's been beautiful. So for me, that kind of destroys it a little bit, because I'm like, my options are VR where I get extra creeped out, which for somebody who likes that, that's probably going to go the way they're going to lean. Or play Resident Evil the way you want, and that's play it in something beautiful and not being so creeped out. So,
all right. And Gaston Senya asks, is it worth the price from right now with the launch games that are currently available and those that are going to be in the launch window? Do you feel like it's worth the price?
I don't want to be...
This is just your personal opinion. I know
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
giving people instructions on what to do. Things have different value to different people.
Yeah.
But based on what you know of the current launch lineup and what's coming in the near future, do you think it's worth the current price?
Yes and no. And the reason why I'm saying this is, for me, I'm happy I paid half. If I would have paid full, I would have been disappointed. But the reason why I say it may be worth it is because I do think there's a lot. I think Sony did a great job of really supporting this. I talked about a lot of games tonight, and I didn't even talk about half of the ones that I have available.
Huge launch lineup. Yeah, huge list of games.
There was at least 16 games on that demo. I didn't count them all. And I tried out the Until Dawn demo. There's other ones that I tried out that are big name demos or games, and there's plenty of experiences here. Yes, they're right now smaller experiences, but I do think they are going to support VR with great experiences. I think Telltale Games could make a great first-person story-driven game using VR. There's going to be plenty of stuff they can do with this. So, do I think it's worth it? Yeah, if you're interested. But for me, personally, I'm happy I only paid half.
Based on what you know, for example, for me, how you know that I game and how I spend my time and the way I'm able to get into gaming, or in some cases not, would you recommend someone in my type of position to buy a PlayStation VR?
Tim, cheap-ass gamer Nestor, does not need to touch this thing until it's $1.99 at a garage sale.
Yes. All right. All right. You know me too well. All right, last question comes from, it just came in. It looks like it's from a guy named Tim Nestor. He asks, who do you think you are?
Who do you say I am?
I'm just kidding. All right, that was good. Thank you for sharing so much about VR. I know there's lots of people, myself included, despite the fact that I am, Tim Cheap-Ass Nestor. Yes, okay. I'll admit that. I'll own up to it. But despite all that, I am still interested in it. I know you're probably making a few of our listeners a little curious about it. They want to try it out a little bit. It does sound like there are some interesting arcade-type experiences and demo-type experiences at the very least, if not some really fun single-player experiences.
I'm really excited to take this. I plan to do a game night at my church, and I'm going to take it and invite all the kids in my youth group to try it out.
And they're all going to play
I'm excited
kitchen.
for stuff like that. I'm excited for this danger ball. Like, that type of stuff, like, I look at that as it's going to be a little bit more annoying than a Rocket League, just because Rocket League's so easy to just turn on, play. This, I got to set everything up. It's a little, that's part of what I don't like about it. And that's what I told my brother today. We met up, and I told him, I said, our original plan was I would get it Monday through Thursday, then I would bring it to you, because we work pretty close to each other. I'd bring it to you on Friday, and you get it over the weekend, and then you give it back to me. I said, no, we're not doing that, because with all the cords, with all the setup, what we need to do is just, I keep it for 2 weeks, you keep it for 2 weeks, I keep it for 2 weeks, so on. Because this back and forth is just going to be so stupid. And he agreed. He was like, yeah, after listening to Colin from P.S. I Love You, I don't think we should do that. So, yeah, it's there's a lot to it, but so far, first day I was this. Tonight, playing it a little bit more, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
this is good.
Well, you're getting to experience a new way of playing games right now that most of us aren't experiencing. So, thanks for sharing with us.
Who really is the DFC right now? Who's getting to experience everything while you settle for your casual experiences?
I am the completely failed censorship leader, and you are the DFC TGT gamer that you've always wanted to be.
I always wanted to be that.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to close it out now, and I was going to have Derek close out with his final thoughts, but he's given us lots of thoughts tonight, so we'll give him a break.
Most of the talking. How about you give us a thought?
Yeah, I don't have many thoughts. Oh, here's two words to leave you with, and hopefully this inspires you. Hopefully this just makes you feel happy about yourself and about life. Cheddar biscuits. That's all I got.
Yeah. All I gotta say is tomorrow night, Need to Breathe live. Yeah, that's where I'll be. That's why we're recording tonight. I'll be.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. And
he just
if you're
cuts
playing,
me off like Need to Breathe isn't anybody special.
Need to Breathe is great. Need to Breathe is fantastic. Oh, is Matt Kearney with them?
I don't know. I don't care about them.
Okay,
Need
it's a
to
guy. All right, whatever. All right.
I don't care about that girl.
Okay, Derek, are you done? I'm gonna say thanks for listening. Are you done? Are you good?
Final thoughts. I hate Tim.
Okay, glad we covered that. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Oh, I love Tim.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?